All right, so this is Bio. Welcome back to Sun Chasing Success. I've got an amazing guest today. This guest is very special because also it connects to my language from my father and back to Africa, Nigeria, and the Yoruba culture. And basically, she's the founder and lead tutor at YorubaLessons.com, and she runs a platform dedicated to promoting and teaching the Yoruba language and culture. And though she qualified as a barrister, which is an attorney in England, that's the term for attorney, she's been basically teaching, and she's now working full-time to build this Yoruba Lessons platform. And basically, it's a platform that celebrates the Yoruba culture through language and the culture. So basically, her website is YorubaLessons.com, and you can find her on Instagram, Yoruba_lessons, and Coco_infusion. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Blessing Kayode, the queen of Yoruba lessons on YouTube. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hey, you know, it's a truly is a blessing to have you on and to connect with you because because how did I find your content was that I've learned Portuguese since I've been here in Brazil, and I wanted to know how could I get back into Yoruba because I had pieces and parts. So just tell everybody, you know, when did this, I mean, you grew up in Nigeria, or where did you grow up and how did this all start for you?
So I was actually born in Nigeria, and then I moved to England when I was 6, and I pretty much lived my whole life in England. So how it started for me was I had a YouTube channel before anyway. It was more of a lifestyle YouTube channel, so it was just, just normal hauls, talking videos. And then one day I thought, because all of my friends pretty much don't speak Yoruba, they understand it but they don't speak it because they're all British Nigerians. So I was like, oh, let me make a video where I speak Yoruba and teach my friends how to speak. And so when I made that video, I was on like 700 subscribers. And then I just thought the video started gaining views, and then it was 1,000 views, wow, 1,000 subscribers, and then it was 2,000 subscribers and 3,000, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then in the past 2 years, we've gone from 700 to 30,000 subscribers, and it's solely because of the Yoruba lessons. So that's how the YouTube side of it took off, and I saw that people were really interested. And then people started emailing me saying, like, I want to learn, do you do one-on-one lessons? And back then I was in my legal career, so I wasn't thinking of Yoruba. I didn't think it was a thing that I could do. But then I started doing lessons one-on-one, and then it just grew to the point where it made sense to go full-time because I was teaching every day. And I've been teaching Yoruba ever since.
Wow, and I'm sure that has to be, as we say in Sun Chasing Success, successful and fulfilling. Because now you're doing something that's truly, truly natural to you, your people, your culture. It's something that can be beneficial and profitable too. It's a great business. Tell me a little bit about what that's like, because I grew up, in the United States, and a lot of our parents in that generation, sometimes they didn't value that, okay, this, the emphasis on teaching Yoruba. So we hear it, I grew up hearing it, and little words and games and family members, but the emphasis wasn't on how do you maintain it. Why do you think that happens in Europe and the United States in the way that it has?
I think there's two parts to it. I think people who maybe had children in Nigeria and then moved them over to the Western world. I think some people are worried that their children will develop an accent. I've actually heard people say, I don't want them to have an accent, so I'm going to speak English to them, or I don't want to confuse them with Yoruba, so I'm going to teach them English. I think other people, it's hard to teach someone a language if they're hearing English in school or they're just used to English around. So I think sometimes it's that they think, okay, if I speak it to you, at some point you'll pick it up because that's how I learned. So a lot of people can understand because they spoke it to them, but there are just some things that you have to teach and explain, like, no, you have to use this word. And also when people speak to you in Yoruba, you understand it, but if you don't speak back, then you won't gain the confidence. So a lot of the times, if you can understand exactly what they're saying, and chances are you can say it as well, but it's the confidence that makes it, you feel like, okay, can't speak Yoruba, because you're not confident because you haven't been speaking it so far. That's what I think.
Yeah, I can agree with that. In learning, like I had French in high school, and there was nobody really to practice it with because in the Republic of Benin they speak French. So I was like, okay, I'll just take French in school. And I remember having like the grammar lessons and all that, and it's still there. But it wasn't until I got here to Brazil that I had a little more of a flow. But even immersion wasn't really enough. I had to learn the structure of how to learn a language. Then I started teaching some English, and I saw the difficulty Brazilians have with learning English. And that's when I started making the click that, okay, there's a process. So I actually have a notebook that I use that has Yoruba for Yoruba as well, because I understand like the focus on pronunciation, verbs, vocabulary, and grammar. So give us a little bit of a understanding of what is that process like? Now, were you speaking Yoruba fluently when you when you were younger?
So when I was in Nigeria, I didn't really speak Yoruba because I lived with my grandparents and I went to school. So we learned English in school. But when I moved to England with my parents, so my parents were in England already and I moved to join them, they spoke Yoruba to us. And so me, my brother, we both came over and they spoke Yoruba to us. But I always responded back in English. And so over time, responded back in Yoruba. So speaking Yoruba to them and then watching Yoruba movies, there was no like moment of actually learning. I just started speaking it. So
Okay.
I think I didn't realize I was fluent until people would be like, oh my gosh, you can speak Yoruba. And I was like, oh yeah, I can. But to me, it was the same as English. Like I just spoke it without thinking about it. So I became fluent once I got into England and I was speaking with my parents. But there was no like moment of I'm learning to be fluent.
And you have siblings as well, because I saw a video. You have a brother and other siblings. How many siblings do you have?
Two. So my older brother and younger sister.
Okay, so your brother, he looked like, man, you had him sweating a little bit. How are they with Yoruba?
So my sister doesn't speak it at all, but she understands like a lot of it. But my older brother, he does speak it, but he doesn't speak it like well. So like there are certain things he'll have to think about, or he won't know how to say it. But I think he does okay for someone who like he doesn't speak it to anyone else but our parents. So he does it well, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that with our communication, putting our minds together, eventually more and more people can see that learning a language doesn't have to be so hard. One of the things I took away from being here was I took away all those big, huge books of verbs. I basically broke it down into the six tenses, verb tenses, like, past, present, and future, simple, and continuous. And that helped me really get the basics of Portuguese, because Portuguese has like maybe 30 or 40 different types of conjugations and phases of time that you could speak about. So is there some ways that Yoruba is like structurally, do you think there's some things that are more simple about it or more complicated, or what parts are more simple or complicated in Yoruba?
That's a good point, because I think in Yoruba as well, in English, if you want to say like go, for example, there's go for like continuous, going, present,
Right.
went, past. Yoruba doesn't do all of that. So
Okay.
the word for go, went, gone, will go, all of it is just lo. It's just one word.
Low.
And that's
Wow, okay.
all of the verbs. So eating, ate, will eat, eaten, all of it is gel. So Yoruba is a lot simpler in the sense of you don't have to learn, okay, when I'm talking in the present tense, I use this version of the verb.
Mm-hmm.
It's all just one. And I think also Yoruba is a bit more literal. So some things that in English you have to understand maybe context or something. In Yoruba, you're just saying like what it literally says or what it
Oh,
literally
okay.
means.